Hello everybody. So about once every year and a half, maybe every 2 years, I've got a 2006 Dodge 2500, and the headlights, it's got the really huge headlights in it, and they're exposed directly to the sun from above, and you can see what happens to them. But I actually used to rep for a company that has a pretty good system of doing this. I just thought I'd demonstrate it real quick. They actually don't even make this material anymore. They use something completely different now, but this is my system and I'm sticking with it. But this is before. As you can see, it's got a lot of yellowing and all kinds of funky stuff going on. Then next, my first step is I'm going to wet sand it with 600 wet and dry sandpaper. So which get wet. You put 1 drop of dishwashing liquid in there to make it slide easier. That's an old body shop trick. It makes the water wetter. It's a surfactant. And that's the 600 right there on top, and I'm going to wet sand it here in a second, and I'll show you what it looks like after that. So now I've sanded it with 600 grit. It's got a pretty good sunburn line in there. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's like where on that edge, it's just where the sun hits it so strongly on that edge. It's gotten cooked. Whole idea though, as you just saw, took about 3 or 4 times, run it over with 600 grit. You want to sand it until pretty much the slurry that it creates from you're actually sanding off the top of the plastic, and it's brown. So you want to do this until you get pretty much white slurry. You want to rinse it, you want to sand it, rinse it, sand it, rinse it, sand it, rinse it. I think I did that 3 times. So it's still not perfect, but for demonstration purposes, this is going to work. Already looks better. Of course, it has 600 grit scratches in it, and the next step is to sand it with 1200 grit, which will take the 600 grit scratches out. And I'm going to do that one here in just a second. So check this out. This won't take as long. The next 3 steps, the next 3 steps are with sanding 1200 grit, 1500 grit, and then I go back over it with 2500 grit. All of them wet sand, and that makes it really, when you get done with the 2500 grit, it's almost like it doesn't need buffing. But that's the last step, is to buff it, and I'll show you all that in a little bit here. Anyway, so this will be the 1200 grit. So this is after 1200 grit. I only did it twice. The first step, the 600 or even 400 grit, if you need to go that far, if they're that bad, you can use 400 wet and dry, but it's just puts larger scratches into it. The 600 grit, it's slower, but it's easier to get those 600 grit scratches out. But after the 1200 grit, starting to look a little bit better, starting to get the clarity back. You can still see the sunburn. I don't think that's going to go away. It's part of the plastic now. I'd really have to sand a whole lot more, but for demonstration purposes, I think this will work fine. So yeah, it's starting to look better. Next step is the 1500 grit. So this is after the 1500 grit. It's much faster. I only had to rinse it once. The slurry, the powder that's coming off of it now is pretty much white, so I've gotten most of the oxidation off of it. As it dries here, if you watch, it'll just become kind of just hazed. You can see the haze. Well, that's hopefully all the 600, 1200, and now just 1500 grit. Next up is 2500 grit. This will be really quick. You just kind of buzz over it. All you're trying to do is get the 1500 grit scratches out of it. So it's a lot quicker, much quicker process. So this is after 2500 grit. When it's wet, you're getting close to looking at pretty much what you're done with. You can actually see any places you missed, and I'm not really worried about it. I'm just trying to get this done so y'all can, if you want to attempt this, you'll be able to in the future. So, but it's pretty much ready for buffing. I'm going to let it dry off. I'll wipe it down, make sure I didn't miss anything huge. I don't think I did. It's pretty basic. Just get it all off there, one even coat, taking off the whole thing. And that's a result with 2500. Of course, when it dries off, it's still wet. When it dries off, it will haze up. So you're going to have to buff it off. You can do that by hand, or you'll use my method like I'm going to show you in a minute. It works pretty good. So, all right, so that's what it looks like after it hazes out. So you've got to buff it. You can see it's very white, milky looking, but that will go away. I'm going to use this product here. It's called Renulite. It's made by a company called Presta Products. They're out of Ohio. There's lots of other buffing compounds, but you got to have something that works on either specifically for headlights or plastic of some kind. But this stuff works really good, and I'm just going to use a little drill, a little Bauer with a little 3-inch buffing pad on it. So let's see how this goes. Doesn't take much of this, just the dab. Take it, smear it around on there, and just start buffing. Kind of smear it around. You don't sling it everywhere. And then full speed ahead. Set this over here. Grab it. A little more on there. Smear it around again. Uh-oh, it's dying. I might have to go get the other drill. Yep, there it went. Oh well, it's about done. Anyway, I'm gonna wipe it off so y'all can see. It's not perfect, but good Lord, doesn't it look better? Much better. Of course, I can always go back. If I see a bad spot, I can always go back and just repeat the process in just that one area. But you can't even hardly see the sunburn area along here anymore. That's pretty much gone. And really, that's it. For me, it's a pickup truck, man. You know, it's a work truck. I use this for hunting and everything else. So hauling the boat, you know, it's not a showpiece, but at least I'll be able to see at night more because they were getting pretty yellow. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Anybody can do it. It's not that hard. Just a little bit of labor involved. Here, but it sure does look better. It ain't perfect. See, got a little spot there I need to work on. Got a little more down here, a little more there, and this is, man, I don't know about that yet. That's really rough, but it's actually much, much clearer. So see y'all on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.